What up, y'all? It's your boy, One Sir Grove, OSGOE. That's Big Grove Dog, a.k.a. Dat Nigga Grove. Haha. I hope that you're having a pleasant time today, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Thank you for tuning in. Today's topic is Sen da Soul Stealah as a top producer in this here hip-hop rap game. Now, maybe you haven't heard of Sen. Maybe you're like, Sen da Soul Stealah. Don't know that I've heard of him. Sen da Soul Stealah, that is Sen, Sierra, Echo, November, the Soul Stealah. Like someone steals a soul, right? By the way, this is a mobile podcast. So, current incarnation of said name is Stealah. Sen da Soul Stealah. Sen is a friend of mine from high school. I've talked about Sen at length. Sen, a.k.a. Sendo, a.k.a. Rosendo, a.k.a. the brown skin demon, a.k.a. Sen da Soul Stealah. Sen is a member of 495, and he is a member of Level 4. Level 4 is a branch of 495. I'm not in Level 4. I'm 495. He's 495, but he's also Level 4. Now, I promote Level 4, and I support Level 4. Those are the homies, but Level 4 is a sub-branch. It's a branch. It's a branch of 495. Sen is a producer. I should put on my fucking seatbelt. Sen is a producer and rapper, so he produces instrumentals, i.e. beats, that is beats, and he also raps. And when he raps, man, he's a phenomenal rapper. And you're probably like, well, why have I never heard of him? Because there are a zillion rappers in the world now, and we were rapping back in the 1990s going into the early 2000s. And then the world just kind of became muddied, if you will, and muddled with mumble rappers. And so fucking rappers are a dime a dozen. But in terms of West Coast underground hip-hop rap and mp3.com, which I've talked about before, which used to be mp3.com preceded SoundClick. So it came before SoundClick, and then SoundClick was kind of just like doing whatever. And then it was, artists had music on MySpace. So there were also independent artists putting music on MySpace. And then there was what we have now, which is SoundCloud. FYI, we're on Spotify. We're on iHeartRadio. And our music is distributed in 140 countries, available in 140 countries worldwide. And we also have music on more than 10,000 different websites. That said, or as some people like to say, that being said, we've been out on the market for a very long time. Sen is in the track Deep in Everett 1. He's on the track. He's an artist on the track Deep in Everett 1, which was on the November 12 project, and many other tracks. Underground, overground, in other words, independent underground, on the internet, mix, tapes, CDs, as well as overground, mainstream on major projects like the November 12 project and other projects. You just got to know where to look. And in fact, Sen produced some tracks a few years ago, just like going back just a few years, that have been retrieved from the archival system of data archival, and they have been recovered, and they have been brought up to they've been brought to the fore for the internet, for the new era. So Sen produced these tracks. He had them on a drive. He just got his his new storage and computer hooked up, storage system with computer hooked up, and we brought up the material that he had on file that he produced that is still totally relevant, and they're timeless classics. So Sen da Soul Stealah is now working on new 495 projects and level 4 projects, and I put my money on Sen. I wager that Sen will emerge in this mumble rap era as a top MC, just as Eminem is a top MC, just as Tekashi 6ix9ine is a top Billboard 10 for 10 MC. Whether you like him or you don't like him, Sen is going to emerge as one such artist in that top tier of rap artists. He's not a mumble rapper. He doesn't mumble on the mic. He never has. He's a dope MC. He's from the lowrider culture. He's from that whole, Riverside hood lowrider car club culture of aerospace corridor of the California going up the map to Washington, beyond even into Vancouver, British Columbia. I'm talking lowriders, man, West Coasting, aerospace technology. His father worked at Boeing and was an engineer. And so in the households that we're from, he grew up in that engineering background, with that, tech savviness, because he's tech savvy. He knows how to work on cars. In fact, when we were in high school, he got me a job working at the auto shop and taught me what I know largely about vehicles, automotive technology. And I roll with this crew, man. Our crew is the same crew now. We combine crews. And so, man, I've cruised and rolled with Sen for many, many decades, many years, many moons. And so now we've got legacy systems rolling out. The reason for this particular podcast, given that I've spoken about Sen before, is that, first of all, he's an ongoing member of 495. God damn it, gotta put my fucking seatbelt back on. Secondly, Sen is about to be super famous. Super fucking famous, man. And what's interesting is, like, now that there are less and less, in other words, decreasing numbers of people who are anti-Tekashi 6ix9ine, more and more people are just like, yo, man, they say they didn't particularly care for Tekashi at the beginning, or they just totally hated the dude, or whatever their fucking story is. I always liked Tekashi since day one, and I've always talked about that openly. But he has less and less haters by the day. That this is true. Like, Tekashi is increasingly popular, just as when 50 Cent broke into the industry and took the industry by storm. There were people who were like, yo, who's this dude 50 running around talking about this, man? Fuck that guy, this, and that. I was always a 50 fan too, and I'm just being honest. Like, I've always liked G-Unit and supported it by liking it. And so same deal with Tekashi. And obviously 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson understands that history and supports Tekashi, because Tekashi's going through the same thing that 50 Cent went through. So basically, Tekashi is the next 50. Essentially, I mean, there's a parallel there and similarities. Well, the same is true of Sen da Soul Stealah, aka Sen the Brown Skin Demon, aka that nigga Sen. Sen Rosendo, the homie, he's about to be super fucking famous, man. And if you knew Tekashi 6ix9ine was going to be famous in advance, if you knew, if you had a way to invest in him in the past, if you knew in advance that he was going to be super fucking mega famous, and you knew that you could invest in that business enterprise, you know damn well that you would do so, most likely. Unless you're just a total fucking hater, man. Well, I know Rosendo is about to be super famous. And I've always known that. I've always known that he would be super famous, because I've supported him since day one. And I know that he has skills, and we have a strategy to help make him number one, to help him to become number one in the U.S. as a top build rap artist. And what's dope about this podcast is, right now, in the minds of many, they don't know that that's going to take place. They're like, Sen the who? Who is this guy Sen? In the same way that when Tekashi broke out, people were like, Tekashi what? What's a Tekashi? Never heard of a 6ix9ine? I mean, not a Tekashi 6ix9ine. Like, who the fuck is that guy? Well, dude, I am saying to you in advance, Resendo, i.e. Sen da Soul Stealah, is about to be the next rich and super rich and super famous MC artist in U.S. American history. And I told y'all that here on this podcast. For those who listened, you know in advance, I'm your boy, One Sir Grove.